You're watching Burning Hot Topics. If you're not subscribing to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. Now, on my main channel, the Sports and Political channel of LB, I talked about a police union executive who was running a drug operation out of her house and out of her office. And now we have a case to where we have as many as 24 people who has ties to a white supremacist gang known as the Aryan Brotherhood. Now, coming from Law and Crime, we have 24 people, including a former corrections officer and the wife of a suspected ringleader, were arrested in crackdowns on the Aryan family white supremacist prison gang. The grand jury indicted the suspects in a drug trafficking case, the DEA said in a news release. Among those was alleged ringleader Jesse James Bailey, who authorities described as an influential member of the Aryan family who sold massive amounts of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and other drugs in Washington, Idaho, and Alaska. Bailey's wife, Candace Bailey, was also arrested. She's a former state corrections officer who resigned in 2014 while she was under investigation. Richard Colady, the special agent in charge of the FBI Seattle field office, said some suspects allegedly operated from prison. Washington State Department of Corrections Secretary Cheryl Strain said fentanyl use by inmates is a serious problem. The suspect aged in range from 24 to 64. 3 were being sought, the rest were in custody. This is insane. You can't make this stuff up. So when we talk about how white supremacy tried to take all sides of the equation, here are these guys posing as police union executives, corrections officers, and whatever, bringing these drugs in through their connections. And then these drugs get distributed throughout the neighborhood. And then you have a case to where you have addicts and users alike are dying from overdose. You have the dealers are getting busted, and that the same people who are bringing these drugs in are the ones who are supposedly upholding the law. Drugs and guns and all this other stuff that gets brought in these neighborhoods. This is why we always say the system must be destroyed and rebuilt. What's up, Gideon? Salute. This is crazy. This is crazy. Mm-mm-mm. 24. 24 people total was in on this nonsense. 24. Now, these people took an oath. And they're part of a white supremacist gang known as the Aryan Brotherhood. Mm-mm-mm. I'm telling y'all, man, they really need to destroy and rebuild the system here, because too many people are being impacted by this. Too many people being impacted by this. Mm-mm-mm. I'm trying to see here if there's any more information regarding this. So more information coming from News Nation. To where a years-long investigation to an international drug conspiracy has ended with 27 men indicted, federal officials announced. Many of them have ties to the Aryan family, a white supremacist prison gang. 24 of the 27 defendants have been arrested over the last 6 days in Washington and Arizona. Many of the defendants have already served time within the Washington correctional system, where is the plotting allegedly started. The defendants allegedly became connected with each other through the involvement in the Aryan family prison gang and other gangs under the umbrella of white power and white supremacy. Now, earlier in the stream, I talked about the alleged ringleader of this organization, Jesse James Bailey, 39 years old, who is also an influential member of the gang. He's accused of trafficking massive amounts of fentanyl, methamphetamine, and other drugs in Washington, Idaho, and Alaska. Last week, 10 SWAT teams and more than 350 law enforcement officers carried out a coordinated takedown that resulted in the seizure of 177 firearms, more than 10 kilos of methamphetamine, 11 kilos of fentanyl pills, and more than a kilo of fentanyl powder, 3 kilos of heroin, and more than $330,000 in cash. The fentanyl seized in the operation contained enough lethal doses to kill everyone who lives in Tacoma and Seattle, with enough lethal doses left over the prison, poisoned another 500,000 people. Candace Bailey, who's the wife of Jesse James Bailey, is a former correctional officer who resigned as authorities investigated her links to an inmate and the Aryan family, and is among those arrested in the sweep. The takedown came after a year-and-a-half long investigation, during which time law enforcement seized 830,000 fentanyl pills, 5.5 pounds of fentanyl powder, 223 pounds of methamphetamine, 3.5 pounds of heroin, 5 pounds of coke, $388,000 in cash, and 48 firearms. The case was part of an organized crime drug enforcement task forces and was led by the FBI. Several agencies, including the DEA, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Washington State Corrections, were also part of the investigation. This is crazy. This is crazy. Now, I'm about to name off the other individuals who was part of this ring. So you have 59-year-old Thomas Carver of Auburn, Washington, Bryson Gill, 30 years old of Buckeye, Arizona, Yehushia Kilp, 37 years old, Gustavo Castellanos Tapia, 37, Burien, Washington, Candace Bailey, 41 years old, Ronald McComb, 58 years old, Keegan Larson, 28 years old, Sean Manette, 54 years old, Gregory Beers, 30 years old. Michael Warren, 63 years old. Michael Slocum, 44 years old. Isaac Cervantes, 24 years old. Sarah Thompson, 37 years old. Sean Ellis, 31 years old. Eric Smith, 52 years old. Joseph Hempel, 45 years old. Stephanie Yepes, 42 years old. Daniel Hammond, 41 years old. Philip Borkman, 40 years old. Sila Morales, 36 years old. Ronnie Griffin, 64 years old. Anna Sarnez, 37 years old. Anthony Escato, 51 years old. William Tripp, 34 years old. Dana Hanson, 57 years old. And Justin Hanson, 48 years old. That's a lot of people that had their hands in this nonsense. This is I won't say this is a massive drug bust. But this is a big time bust to say the least. And to think, people who work in corrections, who's supposed to provide good order and discipline, that's getting involved in this stuff. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and share these videos on your social media platforms. This is Burning Hot Topics. Peace.